the numerator, they should have a negative x plus 25. And then for the denominator, there's two things that they can have. They both mean the exact same thing. It's just one they left by itself, and then the other one they distributed. Okay, so number 10, negative x plus 25 at the top. And then on the bottom, they can have 4x minus 20, or they could have taken the 4 and left it outside, which would be x minus 1. Okay, so either one of those denominators would work. It's just all right or all wrong. Okay, number 11 has a negative 2x minus 3 on the top. So, that's 3. Okay, and then they should have 3 sets of parentheses. Now the order, just because I write them up on the board that way, doesn't mean their order has to be that, so just make sure they have each one of those. Okay, so they should have an x plus 2, an x plus 1, and an x minus 1. Okay, and again, any order. No, number 10 was the first one. Oh, number 11 is that one. Okay. Number 12, they should have 5x plus 4 on the top. And then on the bottom, depending on if they left it broken down or put it back together, it would be 9x minus 9, which could take a 9 out, right? And that would be x minus that equivalent. Okay. Number 13. On top, they should have 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. And then it has the 3 parentheses again, so it doesn't matter the order. It's an x plus 1, an x minus 1, and an x plus 3. Okay, that's number 13.
What was the numerator on 12?
5x plus 4. Okay, then number 14. They would have a negative 3x minus 10 on top. And then on the bottom, how many of you have it put together? Like they distributed it? Nobody? Okay, so that I don't have to write multiple. Okay, so they would have plus x, and then 7 and 5. This one could be first, or that one could be second, doesn't matter. Okay.
Oh, wait, I do have it written.
You do? Okay. So it would be x squared plus 12x plus 35. Okay. Number 16 is 7x plus 6 over x squared. Number 17 is 13x plus 21 on top. On the bottom, they can have x squared minus 49, or they can have it left broken apart, which would be an x plus 7 and an x minus 7. Okay, number 19 is 20 SU. Number 20 is a negative 6x plus 3yz to the third on top over y to the fourth and z to the fifth. Okay, number 21 is a negative 2x minus 11 on top, and then on the bottom is the 3 parentheses again, which I don't really need to put those back together. I hope not, because I don't have that upstairs. It's like x plus 6, x plus 5, and then x minus 5. If they do it, doesn't pretend like they. It would be long. Okay. 20 negative 6x plus vyz to the third. Yes.
So we did put it back together, that's right.
Yeah, don't, like, that just takes a lot of time that you don't need to be doing. Because, like, you'd have to distribute 2 parentheses and then distribute that with those other 2 and distribute it twice. It just takes time that you just don't, you don't need to do that. I mean, it's good practice, just don't. 22 is a negative 9x plus 39 on top. Okay, and then on the bottom, if it's put together, they have x squared minus 13x plus 36. And then broken apart, negative x, and 9 and 4.
Yeah.
Okay, 23 is 4xy squared z to the third minus 5 on top over y to the fourth z to the fifth. Okay, number 24 is 13x plus 8 over, if they have it put together on the denominator, it'd be x squared minus 64, okay? Or x plus 8 and then x minus 8. Okay, 24, I did 25 with you, so 26 is a negative 5x plus 49 on top. And then on the bottom, they can have x squared minus 8x minus 9. Or 1 to the plus, 1 to the minus, x and x, and 9 and 1. 9 would be with the negative and the 1 positive. 27 is x plus 4 over x minus 3. 28, this was one of them that had that x that was flipped around. Okay, so they can have a negative 1 over x minus 8. You made anything different? Because I can rewrite it without the negative on top. You're good? Okay, there's 3 different options on that. 29 is 28x to z. And then the last one is b to the fourth, d to the fourth over c to the third. Okay, hand it back to them, and then let's go over some and ask some questions. Yes. What do you?
He's wrong, man, right now. I thought it was his name. It's one of the years.
Okay, any you want me to do on the board? Yes. 26, you said? Okay. I thought I had one printed out, but apparently don't.
You get 20 here.
Yeah, negative x plus 8. I think that was the one where she said there's no point.
There's no what?
On 28. On 28, I got x plus 8, negative x plus 8.
No, it was 1 over, or a negative 1 over, that was the one with the tree. But you should have a 1 on top and then just 1 expression on the bottom. Okay, so we're looking at number 26. Okay, so remember on this is, you're going to take a quiz on this, so make sure you're watching, right, Nicola? Yeah. Okay, so number 26 is 4 over x squared minus 8x minus 9 minus 5 over x plus 1. Okay, so remember on these, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. If there's any that have an x squared, you got to factor them down. Okay, because you're either finding common denominators or cross canceling, but you can't do that until everything's been broken down. Okay, so this is the only one I have to break down. So this tells me that the signs are going to be different. I split up my x's, and then I read backwards. Factors of 9 that subtract to give me 8. Well, it's not 3 and 3, right? So it'd be 9 and 1. And so when we have, so when we have 9 and 1, we always take the larger number and put it behind whatever your side of your second term is. So that's going to go behind the negative. So the 9 goes here. Okay, so adding and subtracting, you need common what? Denominators. We don't. Okay, so I have an x plus 1 and an x plus 1. This one has an x minus 9, but that one doesn't. So that would mean I would need to multiply it on the bottom. And whether on fractions, whatever I multiply on the bottom, I've also got to multiply on the top. Okay, so I didn't need to change anything on this first one, denominator, so it stays as 4. Okay, but this one I did. So I need to distribute this negative 5 to both of those. Okay, so a negative 5 times x would be a negative 5x. And negative 5 times a negative 9 would be a positive 45. Okay, so my two like terms would be 4 and 45. Okay, so it's a negative 5x plus 49 over my common denominator, which is just that I write down. So the x plus 1 over. Okay, another one. Yes?
Number 24.
24. Okay, so another adding and subtracting one. So we need to have what? Common denominator. We don't on number 24. It's 6 over x plus 8 and 7 over x minus 8. So this one has an x plus 8, that one doesn't. So that means I need to multiply it over here. You're not really multiplying, but whatever I multiply here, I've got to multiply on top. Definitely numerators, you've got to multiply. Okay, so an x plus 8 and x plus 8. And this one's missing what? Right, the x minus 8. Okay, so x minus 8 needs to get multiplied. Whatever I wrote on the bottom, I've got to. So these, both of those, I got to do the numerators. Okay, so we've got our common denominator now. So now I need to simplify the numerators. So 6 times x would be 6x. 6 times negative 8 would be a negative 48. So that was simplified. Now you simplify this one. So 7 times x would be 7x. 8 times 7 is 56. Okay, and then you combine your like terms. So the 6x and the 7x, so 13x, and then your 48 you'll subtract from your 56 over your common denominator.
And that's only for the numerator. And then the denominator just stays the x.
It will stay as x minus 8 and x plus 8. Yeah. You see what you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Others? 28. Okay, so 28, division 1, and it's one where the x is getting flipped. Okay, so number 28 is x plus 8 over x minus 8. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip it. So it's keep, dot, and then this is what would be at the top now. Okay, and then at the bottom it was x squared minus 64, so that means I need to break it down. So that would be x plus 8 and then x minus. Okay, so notice all of these started with x. This one doesn't. So I'm going to rewrite it so that I could potentially cross cancel. Okay, so I take out a negative 1 when I do it. I'm going to flip it. So it's no longer a negative x, it's going to be a positive x. And this is no longer going to be a positive 8, it's going to be a negative 8. So this is equivalent to this, because if I were to distribute that, negative 1 times x is a negative x. A negative times a negative makes it a positive. I just rewrote it so it looks similar to this. Okay, so on multiplication, that's the only one that you can cross cancel. Okay, so an x plus 8 and an x plus 8, an x minus 8 and an x minus 8. So all that's left on the top is a negative 1 over the bottom. And then those you can rewrite and put the negative down at the bottom. But, so just be aware of that when you do the exercise. But otherwise, that's right. Okay, yes?
Did you say you could get other answers?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're negative, the fraction needs to be negative somewhere. And so you can leave it up there. If I decide not to have it up here, then I would move it down here, okay, which would switch the signs of what's on the bottom. So it would make this a negative and this a positive. And then the other one that you had in your notes is the way they wrote it. It's just, they made this would make this the negative and this the positive. Or you can flip this back around. So this would make it 8 minus x. Because that's the same thing as what's here, they just flip it. Okay, and all of those are the same. It's just the negatives in a different spot. Okay. Yes. 11. Okay, so common denominator again, but I need to factor it down. So I'm going to go ahead and factor it down. So it was x squared plus x minus 2. So signs are going to be different. Split up my x's. and factors of 2 that would subtract to give me 1 are 2 and 1. Okay, and I'm going to put the larger number, which is 2, behind whatever the sign of the second term was, which was a positive. So 2 and a 1. Okay, and then it's minus x plus 2 over x squared minus 1. So that means I need to factor it down because I had the squared. So one's plus, one's minus, x, and 1, 1. Okay, common denominators. I have an x plus 2. That one doesn't have one. So whatever I multiply on the bottom, I've got to multiply on the top. Okay, so now they both have an x plus 2. X minus 1, so this one's missing x plus 1. So whatever I multiply on the bottom, then I multiply on the top. Okay, so now you need to distribute, because we got our common denominators question. So x times x would be x squared. That would give me 1x, this gives me 1x, so that would give me 2x, and then 1 times 1 would give me 1. Okay, same thing over here, but after you get your answers, then you need to multiply it by that negative, so you switch your signs basically, okay? So x times x would give me x squared, but it's not a positive x squared, it's going to be a negative x squared. Okay, this would give me 2x and 2x, that would give me 4x, a positive 4x, but I'm going to switch it to a negative 4x. Okay, and then a 2 times 2 would give me 4, but it's not a positive 4, so I'm going to switch to a negative 4. Okay, what happens to my squares? They cancel out. Okay, so 2x minus 4x would give me a negative 2x, and a positive 1 and a negative 4 would give me a negative 3 over your common denominator. So all of these, okay, would be written down there. Okay, and it doesn't matter the order of those, as long as you have the 3. Okay, any others? 19. Okay, 19 is 15 s to the third t to the third divided by 3s to the second t to the third over 40. Okay, so keep dot flip. That's a 3. Okay, so ignore the variables. Simplify it like as if you had a fraction that looked like this. Okay? The 3 can go into the 15. How many times? 5 times. So 3 goes into the 15 5 times. Is there any more whole numbers that I can simplify? Okay, so you're multiplying. So whole number times whole number, that would give me 20. You can put it over 1 if you want to. What do we do with the variables? What do we multiply? What? Subtract. So you're going to move the smaller to the larger. So my s, this one's my smaller one, so I move that up and subtract it, right? So that would just be an s. Okay, and I get that. So the s's are done. Okay, what happens to my t's? Cancel out, because it's 3 minus 3, right? Doesn't matter which one's the small one. Okay, what's left? A u, and there's not another u to subtract it with, and it's at. Okay. A lot of people leave this and leave it as 5 or 5s times 4u, which is technically right, but you can multiply that. So 5 times 4 would be 20, and then the s and u you can't combine, which is that's what this is. You just forgot. But I saw that all day yesterday. Okay, others. Okay, so names on them, scores on them, pass them forward.